Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today for the JM Toolbox Talk, Steps to Improve Job Site Safety. I'm Megan Keys, National Account Manager at Johns Manville, and I will be your moderator for today's presentation. Today we will discuss steps to improve job site safety, staying abreast on relevant leadership safety skills, incident learning, and ongoing safety training to help ensure that your employees go home in the condition in which they arrived. Joining me today is Jeanne and Siobhan Goree, who will take us through steps in helping to implement a safety culture. I'd now like to turn it over to our co-presenters, Jeanne and Siobhan, who will take a few moments to introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody, and thanks for attending our webinar today. My name is Siobhan Goree, and I'm the Building Insulation Territory Manager for Illinois, Wisconsin, and the Quad Cities of Iowa. My safety background includes plant manager of a high-pressure industrial gas plant, PPE safety sales specialist, and I also obtained my qualified safety sales professional certification in 2016. Jeanne?
Hi, everybody. I'm Jeanne. I'm happy to be with you today. I am a certified industrial hygienist, and I have about 33 years of experience in health and safety. A certified industrial hygienist has nothing to do with cleaning teeth or anything else. It has to do with really a focus on chemical safety, ergonomics, hearing conservation, and a wide variety of occupational health topics. I am based at our technology center in Littleton, Colorado, which is undergoing a multi-year $35 million renovation, in addition to installing a $9 million pilot line this year. So we're kind of in the thick of a lot of construction safety, in addition to keeping our R&D operations and pilot lines up and running while we undergo this renovation. I'm also responsible for our work from home employees across the country and in Canada, and they are on a wide variety of job sites every day with changing conditions all the time. So I'm happy to talk to you about a few different topics, and this is our agenda for the day. We'll be talking about current labor challenges with our workforces, some current safety trends in construction. We'll identify some key management skills that drive safety. We'll explore how incident learning can improve performance, and tips for ongoing safety training, the powerful tool that every employee needs to be able to use, the stop work authority, effective ways to conduct new employee safety orientation, and some of those skills such as making sure we're using buddy systems when necessary, pre-hazard task analysis, and some routine safety activities that everyone should be engaged in. So what are some of our current labor trends? So the Associated General Contractors of America reports that nearly 70% of construction businesses are having a hard time finding qualified skilled labor. And the U.S. Bureau of Labor, the BLS statistics reports that the need for skilled trades is increasing faster than the overall rate of employment. Construction will account for about a third of all new jobs through 2022, which will be here before we know it. So there really is a shortage of workers, and I'll discuss a lot of those reasons in just a minute, but that is also pushing wages higher. And this isn't just a construction industry challenge. This is really impacting general industry, and we've seen this impact of a skilled labor shortage at all of our JM plants too. So what are some of the factors that are causing labor shortage? Of course, retirements are a big one. Baby boomers are retiring at a very rapid rate, and they're really taking a lot of institutional knowledge with them. Economic pressure. I know it's been over 10 years now since the 2008 recession, but it really forced a lot of contractors and workers to leave the field. High school curriculums have really changed a lot, mostly due to budget cuts and cost savings, where they have really reduced a lot of their VOTEC type of training, and that's really reduced the number of programs for skilled labor significantly. There's also a lot of pressure for young adults to attend college as opposed to the trades, and that's really at a significant cost. College is not for everyone, and there are a lot of great high-paying jobs, really a surplus of them, in the skilled trades. just yesterday I saw an article that millennials were facing $1 trillion in debt, and a lot of that is being driven by college loan debt. So I've got a few of those myself that are struggling with that. And then family businesses, right? I mean, this economy is fueled by small businesses, and a lot of small businesses and family businesses are finding that today's generation, they just don't want to follow in their parents' footsteps. They're going in different directions. So all of these elements are impacting a labor shortage that's affecting every industry. So there are a number of initiatives underway, and it really needs to be a partnership between businesses, professional organizations, educational institutions, and the legislators. They each have a role to try to close the gaps. One organization that's really talking out about this a lot, and if anybody's familiar with that show Dirty Jobs, right? Mike Rowe, he's really leading this, and he has an organization called Mike Rowe Works. And if you haven't been on his website, I encourage you to check that out. He recently testified in front of Congress, trying to get funding and innovative ways to help develop our labor shortages when it comes to the skilled trades. So really what he's focusing on is changing the image of the opportunity, that there is a career path for lots of people here with great opportunities. And one of the key things that they're doing is sponsoring scholarships that people that maybe could not otherwise afford to go to school. But this really is a great organization. JM has partnered with them recently, trying to shift some of the negative connotations about skilled labor jobs. There's also numerous training programs. You know, we talked about the technical vocational schools. You know, some of them are moving more into the community colleges as opposed to the high schools due to the budget cuts we talked about earlier. But a lot of businesses are also working with other businesses or working within their own organization to establish more formalized training programs. And some of the initiatives that we've seen be successful are the apprenticeships, job shadowing, mentoring, and internships. Several states have a variety of initiatives underway, and I've just listed some of those if you want to do a little research on some of those initiatives. So let's discuss some of the current safety trends. And safety is so related to keeping a productive, happy workforce, right? So it really ties in. But a little bit of history of some of the statistics. Just in 2018 alone, we had over 5,000 employees killed on the job. It's almost 100 employees a week when you think of it that way, right? So that is just staggering, the impact that has on families across the country. About 20 of those fatalities were in construction. And then the chart below, I know it's a little challenging to read, but really just an idea that overall injuries are going down, but you can see from some of these lines that they've kind of flatlined a bit, and they're somewhat stagnant. The red and the blue lines, they show some of our more serious injuries. Those are the incidents where people are missing time from work or are have restricted duty, so they can't do their full job. So that they really have been pretty stagnant over the last few years. And we've seen that at JM too. Our work cases they've gone down a bit, and we're doing a lot to prevent it, but we have seen a little bit of a plateau there. So we have implemented a multi-year safety culture initiative, and that includes culture surveys, on-site assessments, and some workshops. You've probably all heard of the Fatal 4 or the Focus 4 areas. These are areas that OSHA's looking at, and really every industry should be looking at these areas. I mean, these are the areas, obviously, where employees have died, but this doesn't even include the areas where people have been seriously hurt and had some life-altering injuries. So I suggest that, you know, everybody focuses on these areas if you're kind of recharging your program or just getting, you know, shifting your focus. So these should be tied to your what some companies call life-critical procedures or your cardinal rules around safety. And you can see how falls is above and beyond the highest statistic here. So that is certainly an area that has impacted construction greatly. So what are some of the key steps that we can take to drive change? I'm a firm believer that management sets the tone and sends the message from safety from day one when somebody walks in your door. We have to ensure that supervisory personnel demonstrate effective leadership and communicate around safety. You really can't talk about it too much. You have to make sure it's genuine and sincere, but it has to be embedded into how you operate, right? So superintendents and foremen, some options are for them to get some additional training. Sometimes this type of coaching and coaching others doesn't come naturally to everybody. So just like anything else, you need some practice and some skills. There are some great safety excellence and leadership certification courses available. I also strongly encourage you make a requirement that every leader in the company is working on safety contexts. These are basically conversations, right? Just having conversations about safety where supervisors are observing and providing feedback and reinforcing safety standards on a daily basis. You can track that if you want. Some companies are making that a proactive safety engagement, so kind of in that what gets measured gets done process. But we have to ensure that supervisors have the skills and the experience they need to demonstrate and improve our safety culture. One tool that we can use is around incident learning. Now, I've been in safety for a couple of years now. When I started in the field, it was very reactive. When someone got hurt, there was everybody running around like a chicken with their head cut off, but just trying to figure out what happened, how did it happen, how do we resolve it. Now we want to take more of a lessons learned approach to incidents. We want to have an open culture where people report not just the serious things, but the minor things. So we want to encourage, as our culture improves, the concept that all injuries are preventable. And this really is a key concept to driving safety culture. And the way you do that is not by blaming employees, but discussing incidents that happened, right? So this is a tool that we use at JM. It's called the EHS Newsflash. This can be about anything environmental health or safety related. But when we have an injury, we report this out. This is an injury that happened to one of our employees in the last 2 months. So climbing a ladder at a job site, doing a roof inspection, they fell 12 feet. Could have been much more serious. It was serious enough. And there were several things that we learned about that we needed to share, right? We have tech reps that go on roofs on a regular basis. So we distribute this Newsflash, and the left side of the Newsflash includes some photographs that show some of the conditions on the job site that contribute to the incident. And then I've attached on the right a job aid on ladder safety. So we use this incident not only to share what happened, but to also do a little additional training on ladder safety so we can prevent a reoccurrence. So it's really important that we present these incidents in a safe environment where people can discuss them, learn from them, and take 5 the next time they're doing something similar to make sure they also don't get hurt. So no one wants to get hurt. Employees understand the risks inherent in their work, but they want to know that your organization is doing everything to prevent someone else from getting hurt. So now I'd like to pass it over to Siobhan, who's going to discuss some areas that you can focus on to drive your safety culture and help keep your employees safe.
Thank you, Jeanne. Next, I'll talk about creating a safety culture. Ongoing safety training is very important in maintaining a safety culture on your job sites and throughout your company. A few ways to implement ongoing safety training in your daily routines are providing materials in the languages of the entire workforce. This is important because workers who speak English as a second language may not be as comfortable with some of the verbiage or terms used. They will also be able to comprehend the material easier, and it will also show cultural sensitivity. If there are documents that cannot be provided in the worker's native language, a peer interpreter is another great way to help make the employee feel welcome. Another way is to ensure your trainers have the right communication skills, knowledge, and passion to do so. The message can get lost if the messenger isn't able to answer basic questions or come off abruptly. You want the trainer to be personable, lively, and have deep knowledge of the skill that they are conveying. Speaking of trainers, a train-the-trainer system would greatly improve effectiveness and provide a formal training program. This goes beyond finding one of your best workers and pairing them with new employees, but provides the trainers with formal training and gives leadership an opportunity to see the workers demonstrate skills that they may not have seen before. Additionally, consider badges, vests, and hard hats that identify each worker's level of training. This is in no way to single out new employees or provide a negative hierarchy. I've been on many job sites as a visitor and had to wear a neon-colored hard hat. This was for my safety to let everyone know that I do not know all the potential hazards and I shouldn't be in certain areas, or if an emergency were to happen and the area needed to be evacuated, they knew to help me and several other reasons. Similar to this scenario, it's not only for the individual worker's safety and awareness, it's also a way to keep the other workers on the job site aware of their colleagues or visitors around them that may need more help, or identify someone with more training that may be approached for help. Stop work authority. This allows and empowers workers at any level to halt a job or task when a hazardous situation appears imminent. It ensures employees clearly understand that they are authorized to stop work. For example, an employee notices a lockout-tagout procedure wasn't completed properly, or when workers realize that fall protection is not being used when working greater than 6 feet off the ground on the job site. It should be very important to companies for workers to leave work the same way that they arrived there at the beginning of their shift. There is absolutely nothing wrong to stop the task and having a conversation about hazards identified and how to correct it so that work may continue if possible. Additionally, leaders should reinforce the message and ensure that there are no repercussions brought to the employees that initiated the stop work. While timelines and deadlines are important, the health and safety of workers come first. New employee orientations are an important time to begin assimilating new employees into the safety culture. These orientations should include all new hires, including any temporary workers. A good addition could be providing or requiring new employees to take and pass the OSHA 10-hour or 30-hour training course before their first day. The OSHA training provides awareness of common job-related safety and health hazards and will give them a great foundation to build upon at their orientation. Hazard recognition should be discussed with examples of common hazards that the employees may encounter with photos and/or videos provided. Policies, procedures, and work rules should be reviewed, and new employees should be shown where copies of this information can be obtained or posted if they want to revisit it at a later date. The information is a lot to retain at once, but providing the information of where to find it later might relieve some of the first day anxiety that they could be experiencing. Also, you will want to emphasize the life-critical activities such as working at heights, electrical work, and confined spaces, providing an overview of each training and details of which each new employee will be trained on each activity. So what is a buddy system? OSHA defines buddy system as a means of pairing a group of employees together to ensure that every worker is being observed by another employee in order to provide an endangered employee with immediate assistance. Buddy systems are used on a project or a task where safety is an issue. However, effective use of a buddy system is two individuals, one doing the work and the other observing and possibly assist. A great example of this is confined spaces. One individual would enter the confined space while the second individual is outside of the confined space ready to step in if anything were to happen. Another example that we are currently dealing with in the Midwest is cold weather. So this will be watching out for exhaustion or fatigue and making sure that breaks are taken is very important, not only in the winter, but the summer as well. These tend to be trade or work group specific, such as energized or electrical work, confined spaces, and dealing with hazardous materials. This is where rapid assistance in case of emergency would be necessary. In addition to the OSHA definition and safety purposes, a company can establish a buddy system for onboarding new employees. This is where a new employee is paired with a strong performer to complete his on-the-job training. The supervisor should do a weekly follow-up to see how the employee is progressing and where are the gaps in learning. At 30 days, an evaluation is completed with the supervisor, new employee, and the employee that they were paired with to go over the tasks learned and comfort level of the new employee. But also, this gives the new employee a chance to provide feedback about what they liked and how things could potentially be improved. So while buddy systems are effective and a great way to keep workers safe, there are advantages and disadvantages to implementing this program, especially when it's being used as onboarding tools. For instance, the advantages are increased safety, especially during hazardous conditions. It's a valuable onboarding tool that can enhance job satisfaction. It helps employees connect to others and the company at the beginning, and it can be used as a tool for development and leadership training. However, the potential disadvantages are an increased cost of labor, which this means instead of having one person, you're having two persons complete this task or project. Employees may let their guard down knowing that another person is there. Both employees are at risk in a hazardous situation, leaving no one to get help in an emergency. And the competence and knowledge level of the experienced employee is key. So definitely take a look at these and consider what would be best for your company. So keeping safety top of mind. So why would we conduct a pre-task analysis? A pre-task analysis promotes a safer work environment for every task, every day. The discussion of specific hazards associated with the task. A review of safe work practices should be had with all workers that will be involved. Additionally, identify and define the controls for the hazards of specific or unique tasks. A common strategy for prioritizing hazard controls is called the hierarchy of hazard control. There are three methods. The first one is engineer the hazard out to enclose, isolate, or remove a hazard. This could be circuit breakers, ventilation systems, and machine guards. The next method is administrative controls. This includes company safety policies, lockout tagout procedures, and confined space permits. Lastly, the PPE that is required. Engineering out hazards and using administrative controls should be implemented first. However, PPE is often utilized when those controls cannot be implemented or doesn't adequately reduce hazards. A great method to reiterate the hazards and controls needed is to include pictures and or videos because visuals can add another dimension to help the employee's understanding. Also, if the pre-task analysis was done by employees and did not include a supervisor or safety leader, it should be reviewed and approved by one of them before work has started. So while reviewing the pre-task analysis, this is also a great time to ask the workers to explain the safe way to conduct the task. This will demonstrate that the worker has a clear understanding of each step and gives the supervisor or safety leader a chance to identify gaps in knowledge and provide instruction or training in a safe environment. Here are two examples of a pre-task analysis, which is more commonly known as a job safety analysis or a job hazard analysis. There are several different templates, but they generally contain the same information to map out the job sequence so that all workers know when to perform their assigned tasks and clearly state the procedures, tools, and PPE to help reduce completion time and decrease safety risks. Additional items on JSAs include department or work group, location of work, date, frequency to review the steps, signature of required parties that have to approve, and an area to include any other information. Routine safety activities are a great way to keep safety as a part of everyone's day and keep in a culture of safety. Most companies use lunch and learns as a means to keep employees abreast of new products, equipment, and procedures. Leadership wants employees to feel like it's a good use of time and are enjoying the information and learning something new. So in addition to a usual video or PowerPoint presentation, invite the PPE and equipment manufacturer representatives to do the presentations. As a safety sales specialist, I presented at Lunch and Learns regularly. I provided lunch, brought samples of new items for workers to see, feel, and try. I gave away products such as gloves and new hearing protection items that just launched. And in the case of respirators, I was also able to conduct fit tests on site. These tend to be more interactive and an effective way to have a working lunch. Also, do you have employees that you've sent to external training? Do you have employees that are pursuing higher learning in a subject applicable to the industry or job and would like to present on new trends, technology, or even new OSHA rules and what that means for his or her colleagues? Ask them to present to their colleagues. This can increase confidence in that worker show communication skills, and give workers a chance to be a part of the process. Routine safety meetings and toolbox meetings are important as well. The difference between the two is that safety meetings are more formal and regularly scheduled, like once a week or monthly. Toolbox topics are more informal. They can happen at any time, short in duration, and covers a specific topic that relates to a specific task or job. Another way to keep employees engaged is recognition. Celebrate and recognize your employees for the great job that they have done to stay safe. Celebrate safety wins. For instance, hitting a milestone for being incident-free for X amount of time, day or months. Recognize workers for identifying potential hazards and reporting a near miss. And a good place to do this is at the safety meeting or toolbox meeting. So, to recap, we've discussed labor challenges, current safety trends in construction. We've talked about the key steps to drive change, including management, safety, leadership skills, and incident learning. We've also described ways to create a safety culture that includes ongoing safety training, stop work authority and how it could be a powerful tool, new employee safety orientations, and buddy systems. Finally, we talked about how to keep safety at the top of mind using pre-task hazard analysis and what are some routine safety activities that engage all employees.
Thank you, Siobhan. I'd like to take a few minutes to go through some additional resources we have for you. We recently launched our Ease newsletter, the JM Insulation Insider, about all things building insulation. Each quarter, you'll find that it's filled with informative articles about products, transportation, helpful tips and tools, events, industry news, and thoughts directly from JM leaders. We want this letter to be valuable for you, so please share your feedback and suggestions to help us improve. If for some reason you automatically receive an email about the newsletter, be sure to visit www.jminsulationinsider.com.